I can't see me travelling the circuit in an enormous way. I mean, last year for Poker Verdict, I played all of the Grosvenor Poker Tour, which means once a month I have 3 days in Newcastle and Bolton and Manchester and various places. I'm not going to knock myself out doing that this year. I mean, I'll play the ones at the Vic and Luton and the local ones. Well, I might not go to Luton actually, but whatever. You know, it's fun and I like to do it, and I like to wear the red shirt and I like to be around it and have a break from playing the cash games every 3 weeks or so. But you know, now if I want to have that break, I guess, you know, I could go and play all the EPTs. But I've never done it in the past and I could afford to do it. I just didn't want to do it. I find it, you know, I mean, I went to Baden 2 years ago. I played the tournament. I think an hour and a quarter in, I was knocked out by Mike Ellis on a 50-50. I thought, well, I could have stayed in the Vic to do that. I played Mike Ellis 5 times a week. I've flown to Baden. I've paid €6,000, I think it was. And Mike Ellis has pushed it all in with a pair of 10s, and I've got ace queen suited. And you know, we've tossed a coin. He's gone on to make the money, and I'm knocked out after an hour and a half. You know, it was. And then I'm just depressed. I just want to fly home immediately. I don't want to be in Baden anymore. As it happens, I stayed for 3 days. The cash games were great, and I won a lot of money. But you know, everybody smoked at the tables. They had bad rulings. You had to tip the dealers. They raked the pots. None of these things are happening in the Vic, you know. And it's just on my doorstep, and it's full of friendly people, and they bring me a cup of tea without me asking. And you know, it's nice. Why would I want to go anywhere else? I can play. If I want to go and just do tourism, that's a bit different, and I quite like that. I'm going to go to Monte Carlo and play the tournament there, which I was planning to do anyway. And I'll probably, you know, spend a bit of time just lazing around in the sun, and drinking coffee, and you know, chatting to people and stuff, and that'll be fun, and that'll be a nice little break. But when I go to Vegas in June and July, that's just going to be work. That's the work trip, and I'll be there. You know, I'll play poker every day. I'll play at least one tournament every day. If I'm knocked out of the 12 o'clock WSOP tournament, there'll be days when I go straight to the Bellagio for the 2 o'clock tournament and the Bellagio Cup. And if I get knocked out of that, I might go and play cash for 8 hours. You know, because that's what I do. I'm a poker player. I've got to, you know, I'm not over there for fun. I mean, actually, I had a long conversation with Cabage about that. I've been speaking to John Cabage quite a lot lately. I rate him as an excellent player. I always have. And we've travelled to a couple of tournaments together recently. And he, you know, he's a contemporary of mine. And he had a lot of success in tournaments when I wasn't having a lot of success in tournaments. But we were still friends. And he's seen my poker game over the years, and I've seen his game, and I respect him a lot. But he was saying that he goes to these events. And people say to him, you know, come on, let's go, we're going partying, oh, we're all going to the disco tonight, we're all going to this karaoke thing, or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm going to play Omaha for 8 hours, because I didn't fly here to go to a karaoke bar. I've got a nice wife and a house at home if I want to go out and enjoy myself. I'm here to play poker. The point of this trip is work. And that's a good thing. And I think, you know, okay, it's my life and stuff, and it's what I do. And I like having fun and having a laugh and going out, but if I make the effort to fly to an event, I'm there to work. And yeah, so I don't know, I'll have a few trips, I suppose. I might go to Aussie Millions next year, but I've been saying that for 3 years and I haven't done it yet.
Do you think, when you do sit down at the Vic on a regular basis like before, that your Irish Open win will affect you or others psychologically?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think last night I actually finally sat down in a game at like midnight, having spoken to about 50 people about whatever. And the only game that really was any good, well, it wasn't even that good, that I could sit in was pot limit hold'em 5-5 optional 10. Now, about 2 years ago, that was the biggest game in London, and I would play that every night. But now it's a little hard to adapt to that, not because of the Irish Open, but because we've been playing this massive no-limit game. Now, blinds in the no-limit game are 10, 25, optional 50, and people straddle for 100. Standard opening raise is like 300. In this 5-5 pot limit game, if nobody straddles, the opening raise is a maximum of 20 quid. It's quite hard to be disciplined and fold bad hands out of position. So I probably goofed around in the game a bit, but then I tended to goof around in the game before. But I was trying to test myself a bit last night to see if I could concentrate and play hard. And I did play hard. I made a couple of laydowns where it was like 80 quid to me. and I had a sort of half a decent hand, but I knew I was beat, and I laid it down. And I didn't think, well, I've got lots of money now, I can just pull this 80 quid and see what he has out of interest. And I remember a story from years ago. Peter Benson was playing. He's a guy who, I think the first time I ever went in the Vic, he was on the table. And I've known him for, longer than I care to remember. And, I actually really like Peter, and he's in the Vic often. And I remember this story from years ago. The Vic used to have a legendary £1,000 game, which was a round of Global, a round of Omaha, and a group of people used to turn up 3 times a week and play in it every single week. And the average money they'd sit down with was about 25 grand. And we're talking 25 years ago. This was an enormous poker game. And Ben Roberts was regular in the game, and one day he came in and the game was full and he couldn't get a seat. So rather than go home or just hang around in the bar, he sat down in the £50 round of each game, where they're playing round of Hold'em, round of Omaha, and the blinds are £1, £2. And they're having to deal themselves. And he's not cocky about it. He dealt the cards himself, and he sat in the game, and he showed respect to the other players. He didn't sit down with 20 grand. He sat down with an appropriate amount for the game, 400 or 500 quid or whatever it was, and he was respectful of the other players. And he got involved in a pot with Peter Benson in Omaha, and it became clear to him that Peter Benson could only have the straight flush because he had the nut flush, and Peter Benson must know that there's a flush out there and the nut flush is out there, so he must have a straight flush. There's no other hand he could possibly have. But it's £38 to call, and he's got the nut flush, and there's over £200 in the pot. And he passed and showed the nut flush and said, nice straight flush. And Peter Benson showed him the straight flush and scraped in the pot. And I just thought that was a good lesson to learn, that he showed respect for the game, respect for the other players. He took everyone equally seriously, whether they were in the 1,000 game or in the round of each game, which is a good lesson for anybody playing poker. But also, it showed that the money hadn't changed him and it hadn't turned his head. And I think I'm going to remember that story quite a bit and make sure that I play properly and play to win and to show respect to the other players and to their game. Whether it's I actually was going to play the £1, £3 game last night to give myself a proper lesson, but the C and the other game came up first. So I might do that for a little while. But as it happens, I had a good session. I won £243, and I spent £400 on champagne. So it's quite good. It was a nice night. I enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Neil. We wish you the best.
That's it.
That's it.
I could have gone on for another day.